Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, collectors. It's going to be Steven here, and welcome to another review, where today we're going to be taking a look at Patriot Studios' Kennedy figure from Virus Buster. It's Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 4 Remake. You know what it is. They're trying to skirt around copyright. But let me be clear here. They missed a huge opportunity to call this figure Condor 1. Right? They did. That would have been so cool. But nevertheless, we have a 1/12 scale figure of Leon Kennedy, one of the first of his kind in action figure format in modern day, and folks are going wild, especially because there is a pre-order bonus pack that not all retailers are able to get out to their customers, it seems like. And it seems like even from the ones who did have it, they no longer are able to get it out. So I don't quite know. We'll see. Anyway, is this going to be the well-hyped figure of the millennium, as some are calling it, or is this figure just narrowly falling short of some untapped potential, and could it have been better? I just came out of another S Plus playthrough of RE4. I'm ready to talk. Let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. I think the likeness is kind of sort of off, but they kind of have to do that in order to skirt around like copyright and stuff, but it's fine. Leon has his typical standard iconic haircut here, and really, that's all you need. You need something that is close to Leon. You know what? Now that I think about it, he kind of looks like a Ken version of Leon, doesn't he? Yeah, I think so. And I'll be honest with you here, for the shirt of Leon, a lot of folks say that it really shows off his abs and he looks a bit too muscular. Leon did happen, at least in the remake, to buff up a little bit. He did sort of bulk a bit. Maybe not exactly this much, but honestly, I'm mostly fine with this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Admittedly, yeah, Chris Redfield is going to be the bigger guy, but I don't think they really beefed him up that much in terms of this particular action figure. In terms of all the different attachments, like the bags and the satchels and the gun holster and so much, the color, we're not going to split hairs and say they're off, so this is a bad figure, but nevertheless, I do think they did a rather solid job with recreating Leon's look from the game. Now, when it comes to the jacket in and of itself, it pretty much looks fine. I have a couple of issues with some random strands that are dangling off here and there, but I guess that can just be fixed with a set of nail clippers and clipping it, or if I'm very careful, some fire, which I do not recommend you doing unless you know exactly what you're doing. All of the different loops and buckles and so forth actually work. Whether or not that is to my benefit or dismay, I will let you decide. The biggest issue with the jacket, I'm going to say, is the collar. It wants to continue to be popped up no matter how often I try to push it down. That is a big issue. The zipper does feel real nice. It does feel somewhat real, which is cool. And we do have the little imprint of the tag or so forth on the back. I will give Patriot Studio one humongous kudos, however, because I have had a couple of Mezco figures with jackets I've taken on and off. I'm looking at you, Popeye, from the Bluto set specifically. And the one jacket that's in there is completely ripped and torn apart now. But Leon here is just fine. So nevertheless, I do think that the figure looks fine with rather adequate paint applications. I think other areas it does need some improvement. Leon's articulation is okay. There are a few areas that definitely could use some improvements. Going to be a little lenient on Patriot Studios, especially after Liquor. This one is definitely an improvement. We're also going to talk about the accessories in some parts and how to swap them out. So we'll first go ahead and start with the head. It plugs into the neck right here entirely, the neck into the body on just one ball joint system. So he can look up about that far, down, obviously left and right, but we're talking about rocking. So this whole piece is just one sculpt that plugs in. So that's pretty cool. You can spin the head all the way around. For the shoulders, let's go ahead and show you one positive thing here. Boop. It's a ball joint. Yeah, so this is actually going to play into an issue that I had with the jacket, which we'll talk about, I guess, when we get there. But as you can see, it's a ball joint with a hinge, and then we do have a bicep swivel that does work. Yep, you can see there. And then double hinge elbow. So for those of you who are familiar with standard humanoid style whatever arms for your characters, then Patriot Studio actually did a rather solid job with getting this in. And if that does happen to you, don't worry. It's a very, very easy fix. All you got to do is just slide the sleeve over the arm, and then you just got to make sure you don't break it, of course. Pop it back in. I got to find the hole. There you go. You heard that pop. It doesn't quite feel like there is a butterfly hinge of any sort. I'm not really able to tell, but there is a little bit of rocking motion, but I can't quite tell if that's just the ball joint moving around or what. But it does seem like, I don't know. But nevertheless, we do get all the standard movement. And then considering we do have cloth here, soft goods, keep that in mind as you're moving the arm around. So for the wrists, this is definitely going to be something that is a bit of an issue, because I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so I can show you exactly what this all looks like, okay? So we're going to focus in. All right, so we're good. So you can already see that the plastic looks a little bit iffy. We do have the hinge movement this way. And then if you were to compare this to, let's say, a Figuarts, which I'm going to show you here in a second, which this is very close to and resembling, normally we would have the ability to twist and turn easily like this. I had to loosen this up. I'll show you here on this one. I think this one's a bit more difficult to do. You can see. There you go. See, this one's really hard to move. Okay. And then the actual peg, well, it would normally be a ball joint on some other figures, which we'll just go ahead and pull in Goku real quick. Again, just as an example of how easy that is to move. So that can be a problem with that. And then we do have the actual hands, which it is very difficult to see, but you can actually see in the hole there. Yeah, the actual hole for the actual joint to go in is rather shallow. So don't be surprised as you're moving the hands of Leon around. It's a fancy way of saying Leon's hands. Like the gun holding hands or the like knife holding hand. As you're moving that around, they might pop off. Now, like over here, that's not really that big of an issue as you go to twist it. So this way you can adjust the angle of the hinge. But if it's difficult and it's harder to do that, as you go to turn it, you have to be careful you're not pushing it and stressing it, because then you might break the joint. Quality control, that's basically what it comes down to. For the body, we can definitely see that he's got a six-pack going on there. It's like a Chris Redfield situation going on here. But he does have a squishy-ish torso in some spots, mostly up here by his moobies. But nevertheless, we do have a ball joint down by the waist, which is really good. We can twist and turn. Again, be mindful of his shirt. For the legs, it does seem like we just have straightforward ball joints, but he can kick out about that far, even with the restricting pants, so that's a good thing. He can kick about this far forward and back, so that's kind of where the restriction comes in. It doesn't really seem like we have too much of a rotation in the thighs too much, but we do get a little bit, which is cool. This leg seems to be a bit of a problem child for me, because I do get a bit more movement, even when it comes to the double hinge knees, which are loose for me. As you can kind of sort of not see here. Like here, I have to put forth a little bit movement. Here, it's very easy for me to flick and move. When it comes down to the feet of Leon here, you can see that we do have a swivel where we can move that. And then it looks like, as if I were to zoom in, there's a hinge that's supposed to be here at this little ball. But there's nothing except for the feet do plug in on ball joints for the ankle. So we get a little bit of rocking movement side to side, forward and back, and we can obviously spin there. But that's about it. So the articulation for Leon, there are a few areas where quality control could definitely be improved, notably the wrists, and then the ankles could definitely be better. But I mean, overall, it's pretty much your standard cloth soft good style figure. Now, for some of the accessories, like I did want to talk about, we obviously have the hands, okay, so beware of quality control. Then you have these little packs on his back, which I already did photography for, and you saw what those look like. You're probably wondering how those work. I'm not going to actually do it here because it's a huge pain in the rear, but this little clip, literally, it is a clip. So you're going to have to press this and release it. It works just like a clip. Then we have this gun holster here. That is going to feed in here. You're going to want to do it on this side. I know it's a pain. And then you just feed them through there. You feed this up again through, and you clip it on, and then this sort of fastens everything in place. Now, of course, we need the jacket, and this will be the last part of the articulation. We got to have his jacket. So, here's his jacket, which I will commend Patriot Studio for. So let's go ahead. And it's very simple and straightforward, like one would expect, putting on your own jacket. You got to make sure his arms go straight back. And make sure that the pegs go straight back as well. You'll notice that I don't have the actual straps on for Leon here because it does sort of make him a bit puffier, and I had a difficult time doing that as well. The packs here, those are fine to have, no issue. He does have a watch. The watch does get in the way, at least for me, for getting the sleeve on. So you do that, and you are good to go. And the reason why I said to make sure that the pegs are lined up is so this way, when you are moving the arm, you will be able to reattach the hands. So let me go ahead and pop the hands back on so we can see what he's just generally speaking supposed to naturally look like. See, I already have a thread that's popped off here. It's kind of like that out the box. That back on. Okay, so how I found out about the arm popping out. Ever since I popped out the jacket, I took it off of him, it's been a bit difficult to really move the arms around as fluidly as it was the first time I took him out of the box, which when you pull him out of the box, he's going to have his jacket on. It is somewhat hard, and as I was moving the arm around, because you can see I don't want to pull the stitching, I was just messing with it, and then I heard a and I thought, oh boy, it's broke. Thankfully, it was not. And you can see that the jacket's kind of riding up on him. It's getting a little tighter. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong, but that is how you're going to take the jacket off of Leon and put it back on. That makes sense. So, yep, there you go. Now let's talk about the rest of the accessories, which he comes with an impressive loadout. But honestly, if you've played the games, then, well, yeah. Okay, so for the accessories, we do get a decent loadout, and I'm going to go through this rather quickly because I have a fun section at the end I think some of you might like. So to talk about the accessories, we obviously are going to get the jacket. We are going to get the chest straps to hold some of the accessories. We're going to get the small bass. Why? I don't know. It's cool. We do have some of these small packs that go around the hips, and some of these we already took a look at. We are going to have a set of alternate hands, which are going to be used to hold some of the smaller weapons, fists, and then also gun holding hands. We are going to go ahead and get a flash grenade or flash bang, whichever you would prefer. We are going to get a heavy grenade, and then for the guns, we are going to get an SR09R, which is going to be the original starting handgun. We're also going to get the Sentinel 9, which is going to be from the deluxe set from Resident Evil 4 Remake, if you went ahead and you bought that. And then we're also going to get the W870 shotgun, which is really cool. So, first and foremost, that is going to be it if you get this figure. Now, there is also going to be a bonus pack set, sorta, kinda, not really, if you were looking to get that. And this just comes with, I don't really know. Sometimes it's advertised to come with it. Sometimes it is not. It's going to be up to the retailer. I know that I was able to get it. Other retailers online I'm able to see they don't have it. So the pre-order pack, it is going to have the special rocket launcher. It is going to have, just like the Sentinel 9, the skull shaker. It's going to have a large bass. Why, I don't know. And it's going to come with a map of the village to the lake. So the only accessory that I am missing here from this lineup is going to be what I believe is going to be the silencer from the Sentinel 9. It is very small. It's supposed to go on the tip. And then from there, it actually fell off into the carpet and the carpet monster ate it. It just doesn't fit for mine. I also did forget to make mention that the respective handguns do come with their own magazine, and yes, it is accurate to the model that the Sentinel 9's magazine does stick out a little bit, but it's pretty much useless here, at least for mine, because the Sentinel 9's magazine doesn't fit and lock in. For the handgun, yes, it does work. It fits in fine, but not for the Sentinel-9. For the shotgun that we all know and love, the W870, that one actually has a sliding action to make it look like you can insert shells, which is a rather missed opportunity there. When it comes to the bass that are included, this is really cool because it does show that Patriot Studio does know about Resident Evil. They do know some sort of the inside gags with the series and, okay, a healing item. And then this goes to the map as well. And this is the general premise for including 2 shotguns, which admittedly the Skull Shaker is cool, but I'm going to talk about this and it's going to be a critique. There's a lot of accessories here. There are a lot of them, but I feel as if they kind of doubled up in some areas and some of them we could have done without. And what do I mean? Well, if they're going to include 2 handguns, there are a lot of people who are going to get Resident Evil 4 that don't really know about the Sentinel-9, and they may actually be confused thinking because they're so close to each other, we got 2 of the same starting handguns. And I've actually seen some of that from some people in the community, so why didn't we get a TMP instead? Also, when it comes to the bass, okay, cool that we did get them because it's cool, but after having it in hand, you're like, yeah, cool, the fish. Now what? I can use them as a generic accessory. That's pretty much cool and fine by me, but what are you going to do with them? You know what I mean? And then when it comes to the pre-order bonus, whatever you want to call it, accessory pack that you could get with this, we do get the map of the village, specifically that includes the lake. This is cool. You could probably set it up in like a frame for a diorama or something, but I don't think most collectors would be able to do that. And quite frankly, I would have preferred something else, like maybe the money that would have gone into this, which I do show in one of the pictures here, which would have been really nice to go into one of the gimmick functionalities of the Skull Shaker, where when after Leon fires it, he's able to spin it around like the Terminator. That would have been nice as well. The only other issue for quality control is that for the flashbang, there is just basically a decal that goes around to make it look blue, and that kind of peeled on mine. So we've done sort of a sweep here talking about the accessories and talking about quality control, and I really sort of commingled. I sort of made this all one sort of thing because, well, I just wanted to get to this part, and it is of course going to be because I love Resident Evil and I wanted to hold Patriot Studios' feet to the fire here, a side-by-side comparison with the in-game models. I'm not going to say they got this wrong, so they're getting docked points. I just wanted to share this with you because I really like this. I think this is pretty neat and it was fun to do. I did it with my Figma Doomslayer review. I thought it would be fun to bring it back here. So 1-to-1, side-by-side, as best as I could, here is what each weapon and even Leon looks like from the different angles from the actual figure or accessory with the in-game model. Obviously, some of the smaller things like the kendo written on the gun, that is not going to be able to be carried over into the actual physical product due to size. Now that that's pretty much taken care of, I do also want to make mention that for some of the pictures that I've taken in this video, I did use some third-party or other company accessories, like namely Mezco's weapons set. Those work flawlessly with Leon, so if you're looking for other guns, you know where to look for that. Now, let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison so you can see how big Leon is going to be with some other figures. The only one that I have available from Mezco's 112 line is going to be Leatherface, and he was actually going to be the stand-in for Dr. Salvador in the original shot, and then he grew feet and walked away. But Leon is actually going to be bigger than most Mezco 112s based off of that. So, keep that in mind. Leon is going to be a little bit bigger than your by-the-book 112 scale action figures. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, I will say that this is a fine figure. It's not bad, and fans of Resident Evil 4, whether you're a diehard or you're kind of, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but a casual, you will like this as well. I've seen a lot of people really pick this up because they played RE4 as a kid or a teen, and they were like, yeah, this is a great blast from the past, and I'm happy to have Leon. And then we have new blood in the community who's like, yeah, RE4R, I like this, I'm going to get it. When you have someone who's kind of like me and like, yeah, I lived and I breathed RE4 when it came out, and I got my S+ ranking in both the original and separate ways, In RE4R, thinking about the accessories and the attention to detail and so forth, I'm kind of mixed because I think they did a good job, but there are a few areas where if they were to take a step back and do things differently, they could have made the figure better. I'm hoping that there might be another company who can step in and do a better job, but nevertheless, if there's not, I'm not going to complain. I think this Leon figure is good. There's just untapped potential for this to be better.